Welcome to RFJ Design Studio, located in Burton, Michigan. My name is Jake and I'm one of the owners here. Today we're going to paint and update this antique desk. The paint line that we carry here at RFJ is Rethunk Junk Paint by Laura, a complete line of prep, paint, stain, glaze, washes, top coats, and a cleaner for your finished projects and pieces. The prep. The prep is used to prepare your surface and your piece for painting. I've already selected my colors that I'm going to paint this piece with, so I begin immediately preparing my surface. I spray on one area, one section at a time, and allow to set for a minute or two. I don't do the entire piece at one time because it would dry in the sections and areas that I'm not working. So I come back with a scrubby pad and I start going in either a circular or back and forth motion. I use both. It really doesn't matter. It just depends on what you need and what nooks and crannies you need to get into. This step is very important. Preparing our surface, making sure it's clean and ready to accept and take the paint, which will give you a nice, good adhesion. Something clean for the paint to stick to. And again, you can see the amount of gunk that comes off of that. Using a clean, dry paper towel, I'm wiping down the area that I just scrubbed. You'll be amazed at the amount of gunk that comes off. I keep going and I'm doing all the sections that I just scrubbed. And with the amount of dirt that I'm getting off and gunk, I'm going to spray again. It's really important to start with a clean piece. This paint line, you do not have to sand first, but you do want to always make sure you have a very clean piece. That includes removing any wax buildup, not necessarily if it's a pre-painted wax piece, but all furniture polishes contain an amount of wax. So we're trying to remove that, or if it's a piece that's been in a bedroom or near a vanity that may have hairspray and other buildups on it. You want to make sure that's all gone. Otherwise, your paint won't stick. And that's where people end up getting frustrated a lot of the times, is the paint will start to peel because of what's underneath the paint. I selected the color Sea Spray. That's what I'm going to do the entire outside body of my piece in, using a nice soft synthetic bristled brush. Here you can see the coverage is very nice, especially for a light color on a dark wood. Normally I would say a light color over a dark wood would take 2 to 3 light, even coats. I prefer to do light, even coats because that's going to limit my brush stroke looks. You can use water if you feel as though you're getting too many brush strokes, or if it's too much for your liking. You can keep a dish of water, a bowl of water next to you, and occasionally dip your brush in, or use a sprayer, whether it's a sprayer from the Dollar Tree or a continuous sprayer that you can pick up at certain specialty shops. I find I have good success with light coats and always finishing off going in one direction. I may go back and forth, but then I always will go back in one smooth direction. That limits brush strokes for me to my liking. I also don't apply a lot of pressure, and I keep the amount of paint on my bristles light. Here is the finished outside piece. It did take 3 coats. Moving to the inside of the secretary desk, I have picked the color Blue Spruce, another paint by Rethunk Junk by Laura. As you can see, I have also changed my brush to a shorter handle, still soft synthetic bristles. This brush also has an angled cut to it. So it's going to really help me get into those corners like where I'm painting right now, and I can flip it from back and forth so that way then the angle itself changes on the brush. I am painting the inside, and you can tell that I have removed the top so that way then I can reach inside easily. This centerpiece does not have a drawer, but I am also going to paint the outside sections that do have drawers that fit, just in case whoever makes this piece their own and puts it in their home wants to remove the drawers, they can, and those sections will already be painted. This is a short stubby brush with a flexible handle by Wooster. I really like using this brush and keeping it handy due to the fact that it can get into those hard to reach places, and with that flexible handle it makes it easy for it to contour to my hand, really helping the pressure that goes onto my hand and making it very, very comfortable. We do carry those here in the shop at RFJ. Moving on to distressing the drawer fronts, I use a sanding block and go along the edges until I see some of the brown wood showing through. Here one drawer slides in easily, the other one not so much, so I'm just gonna take them both out and swap them to see if that makes a difference, and sure enough it did. Sometimes I have to do that. Now I'm taking my sanding block again and going along my edges using a clean white cotton cloth. You can either use an old t-shirt or buy a package of white cotton cloths from your home improvement store. And I just like to dust or wipe down as I go along. And I like staying right to those edges to expose a little bit of that brown wood, which also allows for the paints to come together in a nice clean way. Now to me this color lends itself to a little bit more of a heavier distress and to show the wear in more of the places that it would get the wear. And that's where you really want to do your distressing and your sanding, the places where it would naturally wear and tear. So along there I'm going along the top and doing those edges, again exposing a little bit of the brown until I'm happy. If you ever take off too much paint, remember, you can always just go back and repaint those sections as needed. Now I'm going to work on some of the pieces where I left the wood. I'm taking my sanding block again and doing right there the piece of the wood that's exposed when you lift the lid. I'm sanding that down, removing any paint that may have gotten on there from either the light or the dark color. And yes, it's going to expose the wood and remove that little bit of varnish that may have still have been there. But now I'm going to use my stain top in dark walnut from Rethunk Junk, using a smaller artist paintbrush, paint along that lip. Just restaining and giving it some new life and tying it all together. Again, going back to, I like to have a little bit of that wood look there and not lose it completely. And it's just going to give it a nice finishing touch. The main drawer, as you can see, I have distressed this front using the sanding block. I'm going to distress it a little bit more, going back and forth, applying pressure. I want it to look a little bit more beat up, like it's really been in someone's home, well loved and well used. The inside of this drawer, you can tell, has seen better days. Again, using the stain top in dark walnut by Rethunk Junk. It is a water-based stain, so it does not have the odor that is generally associated with stain, and it doesn't have the oil-based. It is water-based, so it cleans up out of your brushes very nicely. So again, I am still using a nice soft synthetic brush, and I poured a generous amount in there, and I'm just spreading it. And I will make sure I end up going and finishing in one direction. And you can see me doing that right now. I had gone back and forth, and now I'm just bringing it all back in one direction. I will go up on the sides, and this will give it a nice, clean, finished look and complete the look of what we're going for on this desk. Here's a closer look at some of the distressed sections. Here she is from a distance, showing off her distressed look. You can see how the wood stain dries and brings all that old wood back to life, how it highlights her original hardware, and how she just looks fresh, update, and well loved. To finish her up, we are going to seal the top and the sides. There's Tough Top and then there's Flat Top, both by Rethunk Junk. I'm going to use the Flat Top today. You shake it well, stir it. Since I'm using the larger jug, I'm going to pour just a little bit into a plastic cup. Let me set it down out of the way. Again, using a soft bristled brush with synthetic bristles. Another water-based product, so it will wash out of your brushes nicely. Now I do keep separate brushes for paint, stain top, and Tough Top. Again, I don't use a lot, just like the paint. I keep it nice and light. That way then I don't get any runs and drips. And I will always, always finish in the same direction. Your Tough Top and your Flat Top, you don't want to overwork. You don't want to keep going back over the same sections. This can cause it to get cloudy sometimes, especially on darker colors. So be mindful of that. Do your one complete pass and try not to go back over sections too much, too often, or too late, because it does dry quickly. And again, using an angled brush really helps you get into those corners. And here I'm just simply moving along the top. Moving on to the main top of the desk, one of the things you'll notice is I do not start my stroke right at the edge of the piece. This will prevent me getting any large drips going down the side. And so I don't have to go back and clean up or watch. And then I'll go back and pick it up after I've used up my long stroke. So I start on the inside, work my way down. Now I go to the edge. I'm working around the hardware and pulling it down. Going a little bit of back and forth. But again, I will finish with one long stroke. And since I didn't start right on the edge, I don't have any dripping. And again, I'm pressing the bristles off to the side, start further in, go back to that edge. This is something that I have found really works for me and cuts down on any drip marks. Here she is, nice dry with flat top. I did not do the inside. She is ready for display and ready for your home. Thank you so much for joining me at RFJ Design Studio.